Ronnie, thank you for joining us. We were sitting down here and you were telling us just how much you hated the World Championships and your 7th world title. What?
It's not a normal response.
Yeah, it's a tough event, you know. Yeah, you know, it sort of up until when I won my, I can't remember what one it was, the 5th one. I think I was about 30, I can't remember, 37, late 30s, and I'd finish it and I'd kind of go, I could like wake up next day and think I could do that again. And then when I won it in 2020, I was gone for about 10 days afterwards. I thought, shit, that's just because you're getting older, you know, your body does. It's like the nervous system, I think, was kind of pulverised for 17 days, and it's not until you finish that you kind of like, it kind of hits you. And I didn't like that feeling, you know, and I just thought that's not normal, you know, it's not right really to put, you know, to go through that really, you know, because you're obviously shutting down a lot of emotions during the event, and it just comes out at some point, you know, afterwards. And this year was no different. But yeah, I promised myself I'd never go to the dark places that tournament requires you to go to, because it's such an endurance test mentally more than physically. And I checked out about 8 years ago, so I kind of like play snooker for fun for the last 8 years. You know, I'm still competitive because I'm a competitive person, but I had to dial it down a lot just to kind of just enjoy it more for longevity reasons. Otherwise, I think if I'd never got the enjoyment side of it, I'd probably wouldn't have done it. So I found a way to enjoy it, but part of enjoying it was not to go to them dark places. And the only reason why I did go to the dark places was because we filmed a documentary. There was a fly on the wall, so I was forced to actually try because I thought these cameras are like following me everywhere. And I said, listen, you just got absolutely unlimited access. You don't have to sort of ask me, is it okay? Just assume that everything is okay, so we're all cool here, you know what I mean? There is no like, you know, like I need 10 minutes. It's like, just film away. And so yeah, it was on me a bit really, because I just thought, bloody hell, I'm gonna have to watch this back, and I want to be true to myself. If I'm going to watch something, you know, if it's not going to be filmed and watch, I can learn with not being true to myself, not giving 100%, because it's just a game at the end of the day. But because they were filming it, and because I knew it was I thought I'm going to have to watch this, and I thought I've got to go for it.
Got to win.
Oh no, not even win. I've just got to give 100%. I've just got to give it blood, guts, and whatever there is, you know, and I'll leave nothing left. And that's what I had to do. And yeah, and that's why I hated it, because I promised myself I'd never go there.
What does the dark place look like to you though? Because there's going to be a lot of people, and probably people listening or watching, that will go into certain places that they really don't like and that they struggle with it. You obviously have a coping mechanism to come out the back end of it, but what does it look like for you when you're there?
What does it feel like?
It just requires a lot of determination, lots of resilience. There's a lot of times I just feel like I just want to quit and just go, you know what, I'm done with this match, I'm done with this tournament, it's time to take a few days out, there's another one the next week. You know, I'm not hard on myself if I don't do well. I believe in snooker gods, sporting gods, and they're going to take care of me. They have done for 30, 40 years since I've been playing, so I never kind of worry about where the wins are going to come, am I going to do all right. Always know things are going to be good for me in that respect. So. But it was just sort of, like I said, as you get a bit older, I'm just not geared up for that type of, especially with playing people that are younger as well, you know, 26, 27, 30s, they're all very hungry, they've got that, whatever, and I just didn't really, yeah, it was just hard, you know. Sheffield is a hard tournament, you know, it's a gladiatorial sort of venue. There's a lot of pressure before in the build-up, and that's the bit, you know, when you're out there playing, it's okay, that's the best place to be, but it's just managing your time in between, and I've never been really good with that. So that tournament's never really suited me either, you know, but it's just one of them that you just kind of have to do. It's probably a bit like you with the Olympics, you know, it's a daunting task, but you can't shy away from it. You know, at some point you can, if you've won the medals and done this, you can go, you know what, I just enjoy the sport, love doing it. If I come 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 10th, I just enjoy the lifestyle, and that's where I'm at with it now. So yeah, that's it's very hard to explain what the dark places are like, but it's just sort of, it's just, you know, it's just that point of, do I quit or do I not?
How far do you push yourself? Is it that?
Yeah, because I had to kind of go through all the skills that I've learned over the years to sort of stay in the game, if you like, when things weren't going well, and I just thought, you know what, this you know, like mentally you quit, you know, but I didn't allow myself to do that. I kind of fought I give 100% in every area. And that's what was hard for me, you know. It's like years ago I could just, not just roll up and play, but I could kind of blag it a bit, you know what I mean? I could get away with not having to give 100% all the time. 80, 70% was enough to just get me through, and then you just kind of dial up through the gears. But this one, I knew that I had to sort of call on everything if I was to have a chance of winning it, and that can be hard sometimes, yeah.
Is that why you seem to be so emotional afterwards? Because we all saw you on television, but then I know from our friends at Eurosport, when the cameras stopped rolling as well and you went into the studio, you were just in tears and floods. Is that why? Because it had been all that pent-up emotion?
Yeah, I mean, I was well gone before that. I really was, you know. They didn't catch that bit on camera because they didn't happen to be there, but I was well gone before that.
Why?
Just the pressure. I don't deal with pressure that well, to be honest with you. I'm okay when I'm out there, but the build-up and the anxiety that it can bring, you know, I don't deal with that that's not the part I enjoy. There's some players and sports people that do, they kind of handle that well, and I think it's a great asset to have, but I've never have, and I've had to work on that in ways. But it's still, like, you can work on it all you like. If you're not suited to it, it's always going to be difficult, if you like. So, yeah, I just found that really, really hard, and, you know, just at the stage of my career, it's like, don't have to go there. Got nothing to prove. In my own mind, I know a lot of people talk about this, the 8th and that, but I just don't find that sort of stuff that important in my life, you know. So I kind of just have to kind of like pacify, but yeah, I'm going to go for the 8th, you know. But really, I'm just thinking, you know.
Will you not go for the 8th then?
Oh, I'll go, but I'm not going to give blood, sweat and tears, you know, unless there's a documentary film there, you know, where it's on me.
Can we come and do it for the podcast?
You know, if it's on me, then I'll think, right, I've got to deliver. But if it's not, then I'm just quite, you know, I miss sitting down with Jimmy doing the punditry. I really did. I know I've done a couple of nights, but I really miss just spending time with him and having a laugh and just.
Why do it then? That's the thing. Why not just do that? You're the greatest of all time.
I know.
So yeah, because you committed to the documentary.
Yeah, but it's one of those things that you don't have to do any of it if you don't want to.
But I like the lifestyle of snooker. I've always been my own boss, and if I was to check out a snooker completely, I didn't have to go and get a proper job and work for people.
Surely not anymore.
Well, I don't have to work, but I've got to do something, and I just think, you know, I'm so used to just doing what I want when I want. And like I said, that's one of the benefits of my sport. You know, I don't have to practice for 2-3 months if I don't want to. And I couldn't, you know, the thought of being like, you know, losing that. So it doesn't become about the sport. It just becomes about the lifestyle that it gives me, choices I can make, and you know, and that's the reason why I play.
But Ronnie, you say you don't have to train for like 2 or 3 months at a time. Yet everything I read about you is that you still train obsessively, and you still put in
snooker wise.
Yeah, and you still work harder at it than anybody.
I pick spells out. So if you looked at my my training diary, the average is about 6-7 hours a week of playing time. But then 2 weeks before, and that's probably what most players do in a day. But I think you can overplay. So a lot of people think I'm this secret practicer way doing, but I'm not. But what I do is I pick and choose when to step it up. So if there's a decent tournament coming up, then I'll kind of 2 weeks before I will lock myself away, and I'll probably do like 15, 16 hours a week, which is quite a lot for me. And then my game does raise up a level. So you know, I'm sort of. Yeah, a lot of people think I'm sort of a lie about my practice sessions, but I really don't.
Well, I guess it's smart training as well, isn't it? That's the big thing. I think a lot of
Yeah.
people that look into sports, the people that don't participate in it in a top level, they just assume that it's a monastic lifestyle at all times. Everything's constantly about it. All you should be doing, all you're allowed to do, is the sport that you do professionally. But I probably was quite similar to you in a way. I mean, look, my career didn't obviously last as long, and I was retired at 31 due to injury. But I trained smart. I jumped once or twice a week at most. I trained 4 hard sessions a week. That was it. The other days were completely off. But other people looking in could not get their head around it. Do you think there's probably a lot of the players that are coming through now that probably don't believe you and work themselves too hard and actually can't progress because of it?
Well, when you're younger, I think, you know, you want to learn the game, and it's all about, you know, developing as a player. Yeah, you need to put the hours in. I used to put 4 or 5 hours in every day. You know, I was trying to become a better player. You know, you're always developing. I'm a different player now to I was 10 years ago, and you know, so you know, it's okay. But I've got to a point where I thought there's not really much more I can learn about the game, and it's just about being, looking forward to playing, more. So it's about holding yourself back a bit more. So you look forward to playing rather than thinking I've played too much. I think, I don't really want to play now, So
you need to keep enjoying it.
Yeah, I think you have to hold, like you say, just rein it in a little bit. So I think I do believe a lot of players overplay and they probably don't realise it, and they just probably practice out of guilt. Whereas I kind of I go the other way, and I've been quite scientific basically with my schedule and how I monitor a lot of things. So I don't just leave things to chance. So all my practice sessions are always monitored, and I've done about 1 year, 2 years this, and I realised that there is like a point where you go there and then it goes there. So I thought, well, I'll just stop there. Do you know what I mean? Because I'm not getting more return for the extra bit I'm doing. So So I've bought more time as well. Instead of like playing all day, I now allow myself to go and do other stuff like my fitness, my training, and whatever I want to do, spend time with friends and stuff like that. So it's kind of like, not overdoing it really. There's a point where you kind of like it's enough.
Well, not a lot of people realise that, I think, as well. And like you say, probably people train out of guilt or keep pushing themselves through it. But I think probably day to day, there's a lot of people that will go out and they want to run, I don't know, a 10K, a half marathon, whatever it might be, and they train themselves to death pretty much, because that's what they believe. First of all, professionals do, and that's also how you improve. I think it's been probably proven a lot of the time now that actually less is more in certain circumstances, and actually listening and understanding your body, which you do now. You obviously, not just the snooker, of course, like running as well is something that's quite important. We're talking off what you were saying. You obviously do an awful lot of it as well. And just before we started, we were talking about a time where we'd seen each other and Orla's like been waiting for me to. So the last time I saw you, you didn't see me, which is really weird. I know this is really weird. I was in my front garden. And you ran past my house. I lived in a village just outside of Milton Keynes, and you were playing in Milton Keynes at the time, and you came running past. And I went to shout and go, hi, and I was like, that's so weird. So absolutely weird. It's a little country lane. So weird.
Would you have known him? You would have known him.
No, you wouldn't have gone like some weird ginger bug shouting at me. Of course, yeah. But yeah, that was the last time I saw you. But equally as well, I remember seeing you came to the London Stadium when you had the World Championships. For athletics as well. So obviously other sports as well are something that you're clearly interested in.
Massively into track and field. It's like my biggest love, really. I watch all the Olympics, all the World everything. I even go and watch some of the Met Leagues, and go down to the local track because they've got like an events there, and I just love it.
Why?
I don't know, because I think when I got into running in I think it was about 2003, 2004, it's sort of like, I just loved the community. I loved the buzz of the people, and all that sort of stuff. And we'd go there, and the minute you kind of go in there, no one talks about their job or anything. It's just like
it's a leveler, isn't it?
All after PBs, all after this, just talk about running. You know what I mean? You train hard, sit in the bar, have an orange juice, talk about the races coming up, who's running well, who's not running well. And I had some fantastic nights. I just thought, like, this has cost me like nothing, you know what I mean? But I'm getting so much pleasure from it, and I just thought, I love the track and field. I love it, massively,
Do you were saying before we sat down that you find it really hard to relax, to switch off, to do nothing. And running would be one of the things that you do. And I just noticed when you were talking about the World Championships that you mentioned anxiety. I don't know, do you suffer anxiety? Is that something?
Well, it's a build-up. So sometimes, like when you push it, I was reading about some actress. I think it was J-Lo. She was saying that she suffered with anxiety, but what it was you just keep going and pushing yourself, and then you don't, and it just hits you. So it's like exhaustion in a way. And I've probably had anxiety probably 4 or 5 times in the last 10 years because I've got better at going, okay, if I do this and that, it's going to come on me. And I remember one year I virtually got to the final of every tournament, like 6, 7 tournaments on the trot. And it meant like I was playing every week basically, and I got so ill by the end of it that I just thought it's just not worth it. It just wasn't worth how it made me feel, because it just wasn't. So I then realised that I can't do that, and I kind of have to sort of like, if I win a tournament, I've got to take at least 4 days off just to sort of recover basically, and be able to go again. Otherwise the anxiety will come on at some point, and I'd just rather not let it get that far now.
I've got a bit of a theory about anxiety though, because it's something I only realised like quite recently, like last year I think it was, that I have. But I've spent a lot of time thinking about it, and I think it's fueled me an awful lot. I think it's been a massive motivator for me, because I'm the same. I can't rest, I can't do nothing. But I think that's linked to the anxiety, and it makes me fitter, I think, than it would be otherwise, because I have to move.
Yeah.
It makes me more motivated for things because I feel like I have to achieve. Otherwise, that makes me anxious. I feel like I'm underachieving unless I'm right up there. So for me, it's actually been a great thing in my life. Do you think it's ever been a good thing for you? That kind of fuel, that kind of discomfort with yourself?
I don't
maybe?
mind discomfort. Discomfort's fine, you know what I mean? I can deal with that and realise that that's, you know, if I'm playing someone, we're all going through the same emotions. We're all in the pressure cooker, if you like. But proper anxiety is I couldn't.
Panic.
Yeah, I couldn't go into a room with people. I can't move sometimes. It's sort of like you start to lose yourself and you start to think, oh, you know, and it's sort of, that's not a nice place to be. So that for me is the point where I never wanted to go to again, and by playing too much, and I mean I was playing so much in the end I got sick of looking at my suit. I just thought I've got to put that on again today. I was like, I look at it on my bed and I think, oh no, you know what I mean? I just thought, this ain't good, you know what I mean? You're winning all these tournaments and you're not in a good place. And then so I'm very, very good at writing diaries, so I'll do a tournament and I put smiley faces or a neutral face or a sad face. And that's how I sort of measure, am I doing the right thing, you know what I mean? So in 2017 there was a lot of really sad faces, but there was a lot of wins, and I thought, this ain't good. Wow. So I managed to change it, and since 2017 to whenever it was, I've just had loads of happy faces, because I now know that my pattern and what I can and can't do and what I can get away with, and hence that's why I was talking about the World Championships. There wasn't a happy face.
I was going to say, what were your faces?
No, there wasn't. It was neutral, because don't get me wrong, the first 12 days was okay, but then by the time I got to the end of the semi-finals and towards the final, them last 3 days just was a bit too much for me. So it was kind of neutral, because I'm not going to disregard the 12 good days. You know what I mean? If there would have been 12 really bad days in the final weren't so good, then it would have been a really sad face, you know. But it wasn't all bad, but you know, it's sort of for me, it's just about just enjoying it and having fun and being in the good place. Do I want to play? Was I happy where I was? Did it, you know what I mean? It's all that sort of stuff, really. You know, at this stage of my career, when I was younger, I was different. You know, I was like an animal. I was like, I'm gonna be the best player that there is on this planet, and I'll do whatever I've got to do to get there. So I was never always like that. But at this stage of my career, I feel like it's more important to be a bit more zen about.
So do you use that to monitor how close you are to having to take a break from things and step back from things?
I don't need to now, because I've kind of monitored it and I've looked at where my threshold point is, if you like, where it's sort of where I'm tipping over. So I'm very good at kind of like, you know, prevention rather than cure, is it? Yeah. You know what I mean? I'm very, very good at that now, and so I can do nothing, you know, as long as I get my run out the way in the morning, I do a few things. I'm very good.
As long as I run half a marathon.
I'm very good at not doing much, you know what I mean? You know.
Are you though?
Yeah.
What's not much?
Well, well, just doing that. I could sit and watch Wimbledon for like 8 hours all day and just get someone making me teas and coffees, bringing me my food, and that's fine for me. As long as I've done my run in the morning, I don't really have to do a lot, really. I'm quite comfortable with being a lazy so-and-so, really.
How do you find it?
Maria, I tell you, I mean, I'm awful.
Maria, producer there, works in the snooker.
I don't
we'll get the
move.
goals.
I don't move.
How do you then find it with the general public then? Because obviously you're a very well-known face. You're loved by, I mean, especially snooker fans absolutely adore you. When you're having a period where you're struggling a little bit, how is it then when you're interacting with people? Because people will always want your time. They always want, how do you deal with that?
Well, the last time I felt like that was a long, long time ago. So, but the one I was in Hong Kong, and it was in 2017, and I needed to take medication to sort out this anxiety, because I just thought I can't deal with this. You know what I mean? It was horrible. I took a little pill, and within 20 minutes I was fine. Yeah. And I took it for 4 days, and then after that I didn't need it. It was just sort of like I'd gone over that threshold, and I didn't see it coming, and it happened, and I just thought, oh, I've got to be careful. You know, it's sort of when you're on the road and when you're competing and when you're playing, and just one day just goes into the next, and you know, it can be a bit of a grind, and you know, so I don't allow myself to get there, really. But it's not a nice place to be, so I try and make sure that it doesn't happen, really. You know what I mean? And that's why I have to be less relentless with the snooker. And I'm still relentless. I still won the World Championship, still #1. But I have to dial it in, because I'm too competitive. I can really, like, you know, I can really go to dark places and, you know, and come out the other end. But I don't want to have to come out the other end. That's for the other guys now. Let them crack on and go through all that. You know, I just want the nice bits, you know.
but to still be number one, still be current world champions, I mean, that's testament to clearly everything still coming together. As much as you're not putting yourself into that dark place as much, it's still working for you to stay the best.
It's quite strange because this year I played all season and it got to like December and I literally, I hadn't won they were talking I had 5 finals the previous year, lost them all, but to be honest I only tried in 2 of them, the other 3. It was COVID, so there was no crowd there and I thought I ain't playing well today, I want to get home. So I got smashed 9-3, 9-4, whatever, I was like I'm out of here, you know what I mean? But the other 2 where I felt like playing, I tried, you know, and so that was okay, but I forgot what I was going to say now. I've lost my train of thought.
Do you wish you could have had some of what you've got now in your earlier part of your career?
No.
Do you think they
I wouldn't have got away with it.
To get it right?
I wouldn't have got away with it.
Why?
Because I was still developing as a player and that drive to be a better player and to improve and you know, required an obsession, if you like. And you know, maybe I would have been, I don't know. But I just think, sort of, it was quite funny because this year in the World Championship, I think I got to December, I hadn't won anything, and then I beat Neil Robertson in the final, and I didn't realise how much confidence that win did give me, to be fair, because come January I sort of started flying and I felt really good at the table, and then for whatever reason from like February through to the end of March I didn't really practice much, but I went to Gibraltar because I said I'm just going to go to all the tournaments now and just treat it like a holiday, play 2 or 3 matches, keep the rustiness off, and once I've had enough I'll go home, you know what I mean? If I feel really good then I'll exhaust myself a little bit, but not too much. But I thought, you know, I'm actually playing all right here. I just need a bit of practice. And I got home and I had 2 weeks to get ready for the World Championships. And I had 1 week where I was on the table quite a lot. Went to the Tour Championships in London and I played really well. And I thought, that's what a good week's practice had given me. And then I thought, well, I'll get another good week's practice for the World Championships. You just don't know what could happen, do you know what I mean? I thought, it's nice to go there and play well. And I felt like my game was all right. So it was just that little bit of extra time on the practice table that kind of allowed me to sort of raise my level a little bit. So yeah, it was all right. It was decent. You know, it was okay.
You say you couldn't be the way you are. You couldn't have been the way you are now when you were younger. But conversely, you say you've lost, or you have said in the past, you've lost like 9 years, for example, to like drink and drugs.
Yeah.
Do you think you could be where you are now if you hadn't gone through that period? Because you come across as someone who's really at ease with where you are in life. And everything you've been through and where it's taken you to. Do you think you needed to go through all of that to be the Ronnie you are now?
I didn't need to go through that.
No,
that was horrendous. Yeah,
really?
I wouldn't wish that on anybody, you know.
Why?
Because it was bad. It was. I'd never smoked a cigarette until I was 19. I was a really good boy. Do you know what I mean? I was brought up to be quite disciplined and like professional and do. You know, my dad was quite a disciplinarian like that, and it was good for me. But then when he went to jail when I was 15 or 16, that kind of was a big blow for me. And then my mum went to jail when I was 19, and then once she went to jail, I just thought, you know, I just lost my way. And then I had 6 years where I kind of just let myself go a little bit, you know. And so I wish I could turn the clock back and not do that. But it was what it was. So yeah, I've lost quite a few years through that sort of behaviour, if you like. But I had a good time. I had a great time.
Did you?
Yeah, for about 3 or 4 years, I had an amazing time. When you first start doing that stuff, for the first 3 or 4 years, it's actually really good. But then it got to a point where I just thought, oh no, this ain't fun now. Do you know what I mean? It's like I couldn't say no, and I lost the power to choose whether I wanted to do it or not. It kind of got me. Whereas in the beginning it was all fun and it was exciting and stuff like that.
Do you ever worry about going back there due to the dark places that you find yourself with something like the World Championship? Is it ever sort of a concern in the back of your mind?
Not really, because I went to rehab and that taught me a lot about addiction and understanding it and the 12 steps and one's too many, 1,000's never enough, and I thought, yeah, that's me. Do you know what I mean? I'll get greedy, you know. So I kind of like realised that, you know, it's just staying away from certain places, I'm fine. And then that's why running was so good for me, because it just ticked every box. Once I'd done that, I didn't want to do X, Y and Z. It kind of like, I was happy having an orange juice with the old boys there. Do you know what I mean? It's like I was up at 7 in the morning, run over the forest. I thought, like, you know, like, the other side of me it didn't need managing then. It's sort of like, you know, it kind of really worked well for me. So that's why I love the running and the keep fit and all that sort of stuff. Because it, you know, if I was to stop running, I'd be smoking 15, 20 a day, you know what I mean? It's sort of, that's why running it. So when I run, I don't smoke, I don't do anything. I eat healthier and I'm much more kinder to myself, so.
It's that control thing again, isn't it, really? You're taking control of your body. Because 2 weeks ago, it was 7 years since I stopped drinking. So
really?
I used to drink and I haven't.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Yeah,
I haven't had a drink in 7 years. And
Fantastic.
for me, I feel like I find it like mind-boggling that it's been 7 years in a way, because I feel like for some reason my sobriety in my head defines me a lot. Do you feel like that? Do you feel like, I feel like my life was completely different. It was like a rebirth almost when I stopped drinking.
It's a great feeling when
It's
you
amazing.
stop and you stay stopped. I just can't stay stopped.
Really?
Yeah,
Why not?
Because I'm not very good with rules and structure, and I know where it's going to go, so I'll still do it, but I just make sure that.
Do you have an exit strategy? Do you have an end point to it?
Yeah,
so how do you do that then?
I can't disclose all that. Not on Eurosport, not on Eurosport. It's not the type of show for that sort of stuff. But yeah, I've become very good at sort of managing all sorts of problems. Yeah.
Is that people as well?
And there's nothing to be proud of. But I'm just
would
saying,
you rather have stopped completely? Would you rather never touch it?
Yes, I would. I'm not going to lie. But I just got the devil.
You must have such discipline.
I've got a devil in me. I've got a dark side.
All addicts do though, surely.
I just can't, commit myself to saying never on anything.
Is the good bit of not drinking not enough to make you think, I don't want to go to that shit again? No?
Well,
or do you quite like the dark bit?
I don't think I'll get to the really bad places again. I would nip it in the bud, I would go keep my running up, and I'd realise that, so I use other stuff to sort of, offset that sort of problem arising again, if you like. I absorb a lot of information. I went to rehab. I got the 12 steps, and then I kind of ripped my, I took the good bits from it, and the other stuff. Oh, I'm going to leave that, but I'll just add this to that, and it's sort of like I've made my own way up, if you like, and I'm okay with that. You know what I mean? But I'm not saying at some point you might not see me sitting in an NA meeting, sitting there, kind of clean, sober for 10 years, and that's a wonderful place to be as well. Sobriety is great. I've seen how it's been so good for a lot of people's lives. It's been great for me. If I never got that, I don't know where I'd have been, to be honest with you.
What kind of stage did you get to then before going into rehab? What did that feel like? Do you remember?
Yeah.
Because it's bloody rotten.
Yeah, I just didn't feel comfortable in my own skin, to be honest with you. I just, it was. I mean, there was one day I was out for about 3 days, and I was like in the kitchen in someone's house, and I was like, I forgot I had to play a match that night in Scotland, and I went, shit, I've got to get to Scotland and play. And that wasn't the bad bit, because I was actually having fun at the time. The bad bit was when I become dependent on having a drink and this and that, to socialise, to get out the door, to build that confidence in myself. That's when I knew I had a problem. I was like, you know what?
Was it you that had the realisation?
Yeah.
Was there not other people around you as well, though, saying,
I don't
mate,
listen,
you need to rein it in a little bit?
I don't listen to
You wouldn't listen to them anyway, even if they were?
Were they trying to tell you for a while?
Yeah, my mum kicked me out and this and that, you know what I mean? And I was like, all right, packed my bags, went and stayed in a hotel. I had 2 or 3 weeks there. I was like, fine, I bought a house, and she was like, are you okay? And I was like, yeah, I'm all right. I don't, I'm all right with like, yeah, I'm not very good at listening to people. Do you know what I mean?
Very strong-willed to
I don't know if I am or I'm stupid or whatever, but I've just got there's no breaks. There's just no breaks.
What do you mean?
Well, it's like say, if people tell me this, and if more people say don't do it, the more I want to do it. And I don't know if that's I don't think it's I don't know. Just even when I was at school, kids were like, you're not going to be, the teachers used to say you're not going to do it. I think it was just a way of me of sort of like proving people wrong.
Did you have a lot of people telling you wouldn't?
A few people, yeah, a few people. No, not a lot, but just little things, that you just.
You kept hold of it, and do you think did it a bit of a chip in that way? Then was it something that fueled a lot?
I've always thrived on, if I've done something wrong, I don't think, right, I'm going to now win this just to go.
I'm going to turn it around.
Yeah, I use it as like you saying, like a fuel. It's like a fuel, and I go, whoa, this is great. You know what I mean? Like if it's on me, I think right now this is a moment to shine and prove and just,
Would you set that up for yourself though? Would you?
No.
At Wimbledon, we just had Nick Kyrgios, didn't he?
Yeah,
He semi threw a set because he knew he wanted to go through to the next one.
Yeah.
Would you ever just sort of, do you know what? I'll mess it up a little bit just so.
Even subconsciously.
Yeah.
No, I used to sabotage a lot, and I noticed what he's doing. It's sort of like he doesn't really. I think he can't deal with the pressure. It's too much, and it's sort of like. It gets hold of him, but I had to work on that because I was a little bit like that. I walked out on a match when I was playing Stephen Hendry. I was just like my mind. I had stuff going off the table, but then I learned to try and get over that with I worked with Steve Peters, and I started to understand what's going on. So I feel like doing, but I know what's going on, so I'm able to kind of like work through them points, if you like. But No, it wasn't so much on the table stuff. It was more like if I'd got in trouble and they were going to find me. I remember at the World Championships in 2007, I'd done this interview in China. I don't know if you've seen it, but I just thought, I'm really in trouble here. Right? And I thought, what's the only way I can, like, you know what I mean? So I went to the World Championship and I was feeling all right, and I knocked the max, you know, and I went, have that, and then I won the tournament as well. So it was a double, like, you know what I mean? It's that, but the fuel behind it was that I've been a naughty boy. I'm in trouble. But now, how do I turn this situation around? The only way I know how to turn it around is just to deliver on the table. So it was kind of like it's just what I needed in a way.
You can see that you like being naughty as well. Like, that's the big thing.
Is it?
There's like a level of it on you when you're telling the story as well. Your face lights up.
Really?
Like, I think for most of us, there's a level of enjoying just how far can we push things. And I mean, do sometimes subconsciously just think like, do you know what, actually, I just want to piss a few people off here just because I can.
I don't know it's about pissing people off. I think it's just sort of like I've been on the other side of it though, where I've been there and I've been weak and vulnerable, and they're like piranhas, mate, and no one comes out with any like, oh, you okay, and like, you know. And I thought, you either get chewed up or you chew.
Do you mean the public? Do you mean
no, just the
media?
players, the officials. You know, when you're in a sporting world, you kind of like to think everyone's got each other's back and they're really supportive of you, and they, you know, we're all in it together. But actually, I had 2 years where I was really struggling, and not one person, apart from Jimmy White, come out and put their arm around me and went, you know what? The others were kind of like, you know, quite happy to see, if you like. I was like a danger man that wasn't so much of a, you know what I mean? And I just kind of, it just made me realise that, you know what, there's no friends in this game. So you've got to grow big shoulders. You've got to have plenty of bottle, and you've got to go, you know what, bring it on. I'll have all of you, and I'll keep coming back for you, and I'll keep coming back for you, and I'm going to be in your face. And you have to grow that sort of personality, if you like, you know, and if you want to be the governor, you want to be the boss, you kind of got to let them know that I'm up for any type of fight you want, mental, physical, game-wise. I've got every base covered. So will you bring whatever you got to bring, but I'm gonna trump you. I might not get you today, I'll get you the next day and then the next day. And you kind of like, in a way, you're giving them sleepless nights, in a way, because you just become their worst nightmare. And that's all I've tried to do as a player, because you can, you know, it's just about winning, you know, there's little battles and battles and battles, but it's just about, you know, can you win the war? Do you know what I mean? So it's a long game you play, but within that, you know, you have brittle times, but most of the time I'm like, you know what, I've got to produce here. And that's just what a sporting environment, you know, you might not see it if you're not a sportsman, but you know, Greg will tell you, it's sort of like, you know, I'm sure if you're not on your game, you're the people that are there against you, they're happy you're not.
Oh, they love
there.
it, yeah, of course.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
You're fit, you know what I mean? So it's about, I don't want to be that person. I don't want to be in that situation. You know, I want to be, you know, on top and pulling the strings, if anything.
Don't you think those hard times are good for you then, in a way? Like, it's really difficult to realise that people don't have your back, but it's actually also quite liberating, because you don't owe anybody anything. It's all on your own shoulders, which I think is quite empowering, really.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You know, absolutely. Yeah, you know, yeah. I'm kind of like cool with where I'm at, and you know, it's sort of, I've dished out a lot of, you know, whatever, in a way, you know, in my game, I've been on the right side of where I want to be, you know what I mean, winning enough, you know, being competitive at that level, but the minute I felt like I wasn't in that situation, it'd probably be time for me to walk away, do you know what I mean? But while I still feel like it's in my control and I have the power to just flick the switch when I need to, that's a nice place to be. But if I didn't feel like I was in that situation, then I'd probably walk away and go, you know, because I wouldn't be good at not feeling like I can respond. Do you know what I'm saying? That would make me feel pretty awful, I think.
What scenarios do sort of trigger that as well? Because it's a really interesting one, because I'm trying to, again, picture myself from a sporting point of view of being in the sort of zen area that you've talked about previously about, I don't really, not that I don't care, but it doesn't bother me if I win or lose these competitions, but equally on the flip side of it, there's clearly a lot of desire just to turn the screw whenever you want. So there has to be a level of caring, even though you're not caring. But I'm just trying to get my head around it, because I never quite got there, I think, because I probably didn't have enough time.
You love a good fight.
Well, I do love a good fight as well, but maybe I wasn't at the top long enough. Only, 4 or 5 years for me was the sort of apex of my career. And you've had it longer, so I'm just trying to get my head around how you get that and still have that.
I think you have to learn to just play with complete abandonment. and it's a risky thing to do, but if you can do it, it's a very powerful thing to do. But you have to be... Yeah, but it brings a lot of good stuff with it, you know what I'm saying? And don't get me wrong, it's not an easy thing to do, but if you can, it's quite a sort of, it takes you into that very instinctive place to be. I'm not a thinker. I'm not very good at sitting there and kind of being like a robot. So I have to go and play with a style that can look like in an abandonment type of way. But that's what fires me up, you know what I mean? And it's sort of like, sometimes I can be too careful and I'm like, ugh, and I'm no good. But then once I go, you know what, let's go for it. And I go, wow, 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 wow. And then I get my game, you know what I mean? Something happens. And so yeah, I think that for me, that's the key, is learning to play with complete freedom. And it's risky, don't get me wrong, there's times I think, oh, you know what I mean? But when it comes off, it's great.
So where is your mind then? Where is it when you're sitting there and somebody else is overtaking a shot or whatever else, or you're about to go back to the table? What's your... If there's a level of abandonment, what are you thinking about? Because it's
not so much,
fascinating.
it's not so much what you're thinking about. You just know, and I know once I hit a certain spot, I think he ain't going to be able to stay with us. He might go a frame, 2 frames, 3 frames, whatever, but he's going to crumble. And it's not through no fault of his own, but I just
his
know.
game or his head?
Just his game, physically, mentally, it all just comes down. It all eventually falls apart for him. You know what I mean?
Do they? Look, I can talk from my own experiences.
Yeah.
I could look at certain athletes in the cool room before I'd even gone out into the competition, and I knew I was in their head.
Yeah.
And it would be as simple as just smiling. Just being happy, just sort of asking them how they are, and I could see straight away they were unravelling because of it.
Yeah.
During a match as well, can you sit there and look at them and think, yeah, I've got you?
There's certain players that you just think are not up for the fight. They're great players, they're very good players, but you just know that they don't believe that they can beat you, and you kind of have a bit of an easier time against them guys. And
do you enjoy that? Do you enjoy that?
No, not really, because it's not their fault. It's just their personality. They're just nice guys. It's like Barry Hawkins. He's such a nice guy, but such a fantastic player. But because he's so nice,
too nice,
it doesn't bring the fight enough. You know what I mean? You've got to have a bit of that, niggly. There's other players that are nowhere near as good as Barry Hawkins, but they absolutely like Jack Russell people, you think, this guy's he's never going to give in. So you have to just batter him and put him away. But you just think, mate, if it's a boxing match, they'd have stopped it ages ago. But this geezer's he's still believing, and you think, wow, man, you know what I mean? So you have to deal with all types of people, really. I've never been good at thinking, I've got his number. I've always been like, once my game has to do that, and once I hit that level where I'm like, the balls are just going where they're supposed to be going, I'm in total, complete control of myself, then that's where I feel that I can do that it just sort of happens, you know what I mean?
Like flow.
Yeah, it's like a flow, and I just think, they might stay with me for a bit, but I just think, you can't keep this up. I can. Do you know what I mean? So it might go 4-all, but then I'll end up going 12-4 up, and they think, why did that happen? I was 4-all, but I just think, I'm just going to keep playing like that continuously. You've kind of had to put everything into that 4-all, but you can't keep doing that. You have to be at some point just be in an efficient mode where you can just cruise along. Is
that a focus thing, though, or what is that?
I don't know what it is.
Are you shutting everything else out, or?
Well, because some days it's just not there. Some days you can try everything and whatever, and it just doesn't happen for you. But over a period of time, that's why I'd never judge myself on a performance or a game or a tour or a season. I just look at it like a career, and I just think, over my career, have I been on top most of the time? And that's all you can do, because snooker is so unpredictable, sport is so unpredictable. So you have to accept that and just go, okay, as long as I'm throwing the dice and I'm getting a lot of 6s, every now and again I'm going to throw a few 2s and a few 3s. That's just life, But I'd like to think that, once I get in that gear and that zone, you build momentum up and you become quite strong. It's like in the World Championship, even though I didn't feel like I played fantastic, it was solid. There was still a lot of really good stuff there, and it was only because they couldn't sustain it for a longer period of times that I was able to pull away, and that's always been, just yeah, you know, I play to quite a high level for a lot of the time, you know, which is quite difficult. It's like playing Djokovic at tennis. You might win the first set, but you've had to like give it everything. And you think, I've nicked that 6-4, and then he starts to get into you, and then you can just see these slow and see him just thinking, I can't deal with this fella. And it's a little bit like that, you know. You just know you've got him, but it's just a matter of time, and you have to go through the process, and you have to do all the, you know, cross the T's and cross the I's, or whatever you want to call it. You know, you can't get too confident, you can't get too cocky. You just got to kind of go, okay, let's go through it, you know. And it's just, yeah, it's a lot of that sort of stuff, really.
That must be quite a learned attitude, though, because I think it's human instinct to think you're only as good as your last game, or you're only as good as your last business deal, or your last meeting, or your last pitch, or whatever it is. To be able to take that wider stance and say, I'm as good as the totality of everything I've achieved is really hard in the moment, is it not?
No, because you have to kind of like remind yourself sometimes of, you know, not to panic and just kind of like, you know, that you've been here before and you've done all that sort of stuff. So
but have you taught yourself that?
Yeah, I learnt that with Steve Peters and stuff like that. And that's the I find difficult, because I don't really want to have to go through that. I want to just play and just sort of like let my play in. But sometimes you have to sort of, you know, call on other stuff to sort of get you back in the moment, if you like, or whatever you want to call it. But yeah, it can be tough. Touch snooker is a tough sport, though. I think, you know, it's a one-on-one. You're sitting in your chair. You know, there's nothing you can actually do. You know, a lot of it's out of your control sometimes. So yes, it can be quite a challenging sort of. I call it chess with balls, really. You know what I mean? There's a lot of thinking time to be done, and that's the problem with snooker. It's not an instinctive. There's a lot of time you're sitting in your chair, and you know, you have to process a lot of this dialogue in your head. You know.
So you mentioned Steve Peters, and I've come across him an awful lot, of course, because he's worked an awful lot through cycling. What's the biggest lessons do you think he's taught you, if you can distill them down?
That it's very fickle. So a lot of the time I used to
everything.
Well, yeah, pretty much everything. Yeah, you know, 1 minute you can feel great, the next minute you can feel terrible. You know, I mean, about the same thing. You know, 1 minute I can be loving my snooker, and the next minute I think, I'm not enjoying this, and it's like, you know, so I know it's fickle. So a lot of the time I used to buy into that and think, you know, I wasn't enjoying it. I don't want to be here. But then an hour later, I'd kind of sabotage the match, lost when I could have really tried a bit harder, and then an hour later thinking, actually, I wish I'd have won that match and been, you know what I mean? Because emotions sort of calmed down a bit. So I think that's what really helped me to realise that, you know, whatever I was feeling at that moment in time, it's just because I'm, you know, I'm maybe going through a bit of a hard period, and it's just about a bit of resilience now. It's just a bit about, you know, just hanging in there, you know, just hustling away until that turns around, and, you know, loving the game again, you know. So, and that's always been my experience with snooker, really, is that, you know, it's one day it can be great, the next day it can be really awful, and it's like, you know, I've got to learn that, you know, in them awful times, you don't really feel it's awful. It's just the game is difficult sometimes, you know.
So what you're feeling is not necessarily the truth.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's about like parking that up. We're not dealing with that now. We'll chat about that later, but not right now while you're trying to win this snooker match. So I'm better at kind of not, you know, allowing myself to get taken down that road, so I can nip it in the bud a bit better and compete. It allows me to compete. That's all it does. It just allows me to compete and give my best on every day, every match, and come off there and feel good about that I've given my best, you know. Yeah, and just being a bit more in control of yourself, really. I suppose you need to be, really.
It sort of works for every sort of walk of life, though. It's one of those sort of lessons that I think a lot of people can probably take on board. Don't overthink it. Don't always believe exactly what your body's trying to do. And often you're going to fight or flight, and your brain's just trying to get you out of there.
Yeah.
So I guess it's taking some form of solace in knowing that whatever situation generally you're in, you've got there due to hard work and everything else.
You'll be
so just
okay.
taking it time, and you will survive and you'll get out of it.
But that's what I said about abandonment, because abandonment is just about playing from instincts and sort of just going with it and then just being free in a way, and that's the opposite to thinking in a way, you know what I mean? So I've learned that, okay, where do I perform better? What emotion? Where do I need to be? And sometimes it's like you got to force, you know. So if you're not performing well, that negativity you can lose confidence. And I'm like, hold on a minute, I've got to do the opposite. I've got to portray that I'm confident. I've got to play my way out of this.
You're forcing it.
I'm not confident, but I've got to play like a confident guy. It's like an actor. He might feel like really rubbish, but they go, right, you've got to do this scene there, and he's like, bomb, and he's out there, and he does a great scene, and it's no different to sport. You know, I'd imagine there's a lot of athletes that get on that start line and they think, I don't fancy this, man, I'm not in good shape. But they have to portray it and go, you know what, I'm up for this, and they're bouncing up on the line, but really he's feeling awful inside. But you kind of have to go, you know what, I'm going to portray this fella that's really up for this. And that's a lot of what you're doing most of the time. Do you know what I mean? It's just sort of gearing yourself up to kind of deliver when you have to deliver, I suppose, you know.
Are you happy with your life where you are at the minute, Ronnie?
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
Kind of?
Kind of, yeah. That was the...
Yeah, kind of, yeah, kind of, yeah. It's all right, it could be better.
What
Is that your stop? Is that just your attitude to life, though?
No. Things are fine. There's just a few things that are sort of off the table, if you like, that's sort of like niggling away at me a little bit. But it's no massive drama. But yeah, no, listen, I'm in a very, very good place. Could be in a better place, but I'm in a decent place, you know.
Probably most people, to be honest.
Yeah, true.
It's a very sort of standard one. Now, I mean, going forward, you're talking about going for the 8th, and then you're a bit like, yeah, I'll go, and we'll sort of see whatever else. I mean, when is enough for you? Do you think? How many more years as well? Because I mean. Not that you're getting on or anything at the moment. I'm just sort of saying, but it's
we all are. That's life, though, isn't it?
Most true, of course. When is enough?
Do you know, the biggest thing for me was when I took a year out in 2012 after I won the World Championships, and I realised that I got so bored. I thought, actually, I need a purpose in life, and I didn't realise that. So, you know, that's why I play snooker now. It's just that it gets me out of the house. I get to travel. It sort of gives me a bit of a purpose. If I found something better to do tomorrow, I would do it.
Like what?
Well, I don't know. But something landed on my lap and I went, I actually really love this, and I really like, it gets me out of bed in the morning, and I'm loving doing what I'm doing.
Do you search for that, though? Are you looking for something different?
I've looked into certain, you know, listen, I love doing my stuff with Eurosport. I love doing the punditry side of it. I really do. So maybe that's sort of somewhere, but I'm just not ready to fully give up my freedom, because like with snooker, I do that and I do other stuff. You know, I have to give up probably like 30, 40 days a year doing things away from snooker, which allows me to then just go and play snooker and have fun with it. But like today, I got up, went and had a run, had a coffee with me mate, chilled out. There was no like, oh, I've got to be here, there. I got to the club, hit a few balls, had a kip on the sofa for 45 minutes, watched a bit of golf on the TV, went and had a coffee with me mate, went back down the gym, had another little session in there. And I'm thinking, if I give snooker up, I'm now going to have something, well, you've got to be here, you've got to be here. I'm like, and I don't do orders. You know what I mean? And so I've kind of like, the reason why I play is that it gives me ultimate freedom to do what I want when I like. And so it's difficult for me to give up snooker because it gives me a purpose, which I need. You know, otherwise I'll go down, you know, I'll probably, you know, whatever.
Go down that route without an exit strategy.
Yeah. And then I kind of just think, you know, I need something in my life. And, you know, although I'm not, you know, I don't love the game like I used to. I don't, you know, like even when I was practicing today, I was thinking, I just want to put my cue. I don't really want, but I know I've got a tournament in I've got an exhibition at the weekend. So there's a certain amount of pride that you have in your performance. And even though it's just an exhibition, I still want to put on a good show. I still want them people that have paid money to go, you know what, that was a fantastic night. I really enjoyed it. So we had a great weekend in Scotland, just gone. And, you know, we're going to go to Ireland. So that motivates me to put a certain amount of practice in, just so as I kind of do myself a bit justice, so they enjoy their time, you know. So it's sort of, I need a reason to play. So like when I took that year off in 2012, I never picked my cue up for 9 months, and I was like, wow. And you know, it was only because there was no goal. There was no. It's like even when I'm running, I need a race to motivate me to train. It's like snooker, I need a tournament to motivate. I just can't go and play and do it just for the love of it. You know, I've got to have like, oh, there's that, it's around the corner, and that's what motivates me to sort of work, if you like. You know, otherwise I become very, very lazy. You know, I'm not good at not having something to focus on, I think, you know.
But is part of downplaying the importance of it allowing you to play with freedom?
No, because
so if you don't care so much about the 8th World Championship, and you go off and enjoy it and do it anyway.
I think what happened was when I met Steve Peters, he made me realise that the way I was because I was too invested in the game. I was too invested in being perfect. I was too invested, and it was torturing me and it was driving me mad. And he went, listen, if an alien come down from Mars and they watch what you was doing, hitting balls around on the felt thing, they'd think, like, what they're taking this serious, are they? What, he's really getting it? Like, it's a game with sticks and balls, you know what I'm saying? It's like, and he kind of made me realise that, you know, the real things in life are having good friends, doing your running, your hobbies. They're the things that really make you, like, they're the things we love to do, and the important things in life. This is just a game, and we love it, and we want to do really well, but let's not take it too seriously. And I went, you know what? So there's a choice to be made. For me, other people, it's maybe different, but for me, I needed to realise that my happiness is not going to be in lifting a trophy. It's not going to be in winning all these tournaments. If anything, it can make me a bit unhappy because I have to go to them dark places, which I've done, and now and again I don't mind, but not on a regular basis, you know what I mean? So it's kind of like realising what's important in life, and for me there's other things that really make me much more happier, a nicer person, but I still have to kind of get, still incorporate a bit of snooker in my life, but I really do realise that it's not that important. I've trained myself to not make it that important. So when I say every time I go on tournament, it literally is, I'm on holiday, I have all my running friends. So if you see me in Milton Keynes, I must have been running with someone.
You was, yeah. Well,
yeah, that was my mate Gary. So he showed me all the way. I mean, you've got the best running routes in.
It's pretty good, yeah.
You've got Woburn Sands. We used to do like 8-mile runs, and it was like through the safari. And it was just amazing. So everywhere I go, I have running partners, and I get to explore wherever I am. And so for me, it really is like a holiday, and I have my mate with me, and then I go and hit a few balls, and I come back and I put the kettle on, we're in the room, and we're having a lot, and I just think, you know what, this is fantastic. I have all I want around me, do you know what I mean? It's like, it really is, it's like the dream life. And I'm thinking, if I don't play, I've got to give all that up. And, and I've got it really good at the moment, do you know what I mean? It's like the best I've probably ever had it. Because, it just is, I do a lot of work away from snooker, so as I don't have to play for money. I think a while ago it got to the point, I think in 2012 and 13, where I just played snooker, and if I won, then you got paid, and if you didn't win, I just thought, I don't feel good about this. So I kind of had to go into other areas just to get a job, to do some work and bits and pieces, and go, okay, I'm sorted on that area. Now I'm just playing for fun. So I'm up for none. Whenever I play, I'm playing because I want to play. I'm playing because I want to put on a good performance. I'm playing because I love being away from home. I enjoy the freedom that I get with it. It's the benefits that I get from snooker which are more important to me than the actual game now, But don't get me wrong, that competitiveness will never leave me. It's like you will be super competitive. You will be.
I am not.
You'll see in a second.
No, you will be. You will be. Every sportsman is competitive. It's impossible to not be.
Yeah,
but
absolutely.
I think that's the bit you have to manage. Because if you don't, it gets totally out of control.
Yeah.
Everyone around you just thinks you're a nightmare to be around because you're so self-absorbed. Like I say, over a game with sticks and balls on the felt, where most people think, are you for real? Just chill out, it's just a bloody game. And my daughter said to me, before the final session, I felt like, I froze on the Monday afternoon. I literally was, I've only froze twice in my career, both at the Crucible, because it's that type of place where it can do it to you. And after that session, I felt so bad because my kids have literally just come up to watch, and I thought they're watching their dad just fall apart out here.
Is that why it happened?
I don't think so.
No.
I don't think so, but it didn't help, you know what I mean? And I sat in my room, and my daughter come up, and I went, I'm so sorry. I said, I've been, you know what I mean? You're watching your dad out. And she went, no, it doesn't. We don't care if you win or lose. We're just happy you're here. I went, you mean that? And she went, yeah, really. I went, well, so tonight, if I lose, no matter what, we're going to have a great night. And she went, yeah. And I went, come on, let's go. And that's what I think that's why I come out and play well in the evening, because I thought, you know what, I don't have to impress, you know what I mean? But I did feel like I had to in that afternoon. But when she said that to me, I went, you know what, that was like Steve Peters, that's what something Steve Peters would say to me, he said, there's true people around you, they want to see you do well, want to see you win, but they still love you because you're a friend, or I'm her dad and all that, and that kind of really made me just think, you know what, it's all right, just go out there and play now, you know what I mean? So she's the reason why I played well in the evening session, not me.
That's her.
Amen to that. That's brilliant, Ronnie.
She was good, yeah.
Thank you so much. That was brilliant.
Yeah, really
brilliant.
Thank you. Good
if
to
you do
speak
go
to
for
you.
the 8th, can you promise that we as the pod can come along and follow you?
Yeah, absolutely.
should we do that?
If I do go for that, I might need that incentive.
Yeah, we'll follow you around. We'll drink tea, go for runs.
Yeah, exactly.
That'd be great.
We'll chatter in your ear, give you motivation.
Yeah, why not? Yeah, cool, brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you. Now you're going to see why I say that Greg is so competitive. Do you want to see? Do you want to see our challenge?
Yeah, cool. So
we finished. You can explain it.
I mean, it clearly took us a very long time to come up with this idea.
Okay.
But we thought what would be great is, because most people here are quite competitive, and I'm just straight out there, probably the most competitive person
Oh, really?
in
Yeah.
life.
I'm awful.
on another level.
I mean, the worst kind of competitor who hasn't achieved. You know, imagine how much that eats up at me.
She's achieved a couple of times at this game. So what we've basically come up with, nice and simple, rock, paper, scissors.
Really? Okay, well, let's just do it.
Right, it's just going to go. Right,
Okay.
you called this one. I called the last one.
Okay, so I'll just go 1, 2, 3, and then go. Right?
Yeah,
okay,
okay,
ready? 1, 2, 3. You went too soon, and I
Is that paper?
No,
that paper I lost.
So why did you lose? Because Greg was
Because
off.
you
We
both
both
get
did
scissors,
scissors.
so you both beat me, so I'm out.
Right, so
That's
okay.
the final between you two.
Okay.
But wait, this time
Yeah, I was too quick, wasn't I?
you were too quick and you still beat me,
Sorry.
Ronnie. What does that say about me?
I'm
Seriously, I had time to
I'm
react to
disappointed
that.
in you.
I had time to change it twice. I know,
Oh
I'm
my God.
disappointed
Rock
in
beats
myself.
scissors. Rock beats scissors. Paper beats rock.
Yeah.
Rock beats scissors.
Yeah.
Scissors beats paper. Paper beats rock.
We're literally just going to go 1, 2,
So do it on
3,
shoot
bop.
this time.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Don't reveal your hand until I say shoot.
Yeah.
Okay, you ready?
Right, okay, yeah.
Okay. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
You win, yeah.
He won. You
Not
see?
that I'm competitive.
Not competitive anymore at all.
Oh dear, I wasn't sure if I won or lost.
I know, but
I'm
the thing
terrible.
is, your demeanour totally threw me.
I'm gonna
Because
get
you're
into
kind of
this.
like, do I do this or not? And I was like, what
like,
have you
yeah.
done? What's happened?
Well, I reckon that's probably our best one.
Well, that's because you won, of course.
Oh.
That's
That's our best one. I think that's our best one. You were last in that. Oh, never mind.
Good.
Oh, shut up. I'm all right being beaten by Ronnie O'Sullivan. I can take
That's
that.
fair enough.
Hi, I'm Ronnie O'Sullivan and welcome to Eurosport Snooker on YouTube. Click here to subscribe to Eurosport Snooker.